At Stafford Technical Center, you can explore your possibilities, have hands-on learning, pursue your passion, and start your career. Want to see what they're laughing at? Visit staffordonline.org, and while you're there, you might as well check out our application page.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Reuter with Shaping Energies, and if you're looking to get involved in energy auditing or become BPI certified, you're going to want to learn how to set up the blower door. Let's get started. All right, we're going to go ahead and set up the frame here. And we'll get the components out. We'll set these two pieces aside because they're going to be used for setting up the fan. And when we set up the frame, we're going to want to put the rubber side outward and the knobs kitty corner from each other facing up. So here we've got the knobs kitty corner and facing up with the rubber side facing outward. And we'll go ahead and connect each piece here. Now we're going to go ahead and put the frame in place and size it to fit the door. And we'll start at the bottom and tighten the knob down here first. Then I'll go ahead and step on the bottom side of the frame and extend it upward. And keeping it as wide as possible with my elbows, I'll go ahead and tighten the top knob. And then each of the side knobs. And before taking the frame out and placing it on the shroud, I'll go ahead and take my green hose and I'll put it outside, out of the way of the wind. So alongside the side of the building here. And now we can go ahead and put the frame on the shroud. All right, we're going to set up the shroud. We're going to go ahead and put the frame on the shroud. And I always start at the bottom and get as tight a fit as possible. And it's okay to walk on the shroud. And I pull it tight and just sort of wrap the excess shroud up over the top. And we can go ahead and put this in the door. And again, I always start at the bottom. This is a fairly clunky piece of equipment. We want to have somewhat of a routine. So now that we've got the frame in place, we can go ahead and tighten the cams. And again, I start at the bottom and work my way up. And now we've got a tight fit in the door so that when we start the fan, the frame doesn't blow back at us. We're going to go ahead and take the green hose here and we're going to stick it through this hole in the shroud. Now we're going to put the crossbar on so that we can hang the fan on this and hold it tight when we tighten the knob here and go ahead and hit the cam. And we place this bar just below this notice sign right here. This final piece of framing, we're going to go ahead and put this on this top latch here, and we'll hang the fan controls on this. We're going to go ahead and put the fan in place now. Now we're going to go ahead and place the fan controller on the frame. And we have one of the cords going to a power outlet, and the other side here is going to get plugged into the fan. And we can place our manometer on the Velcro strips here, or if in our case we are missing a Velcro strip, we can substitute with a rubber band. Alright, so on the manometer here we have channel A and channel B. And these are two distinctly separate channels on the manometer, and they're going to give us two distinctly separate readings. So it's basically like having two devices in one. And on channel A, we're going to go ahead and plug the green hose into the reference port. And so now what we're getting is we're getting a pressure difference from inside the room with reference to outdoors. And then we're going to plug our other hose, our red hose, in to the input port on channel B. And this is going to give us a reading, a fan flow reading, and we're going to plug the other side of the red hose into the fan. And this side is going to give us a flow reading from the fan, and this side is going to give us a pressure reading from inside to outside. Now that we've got our manometer all set up, we can go ahead and turn it on. And then I like to hit the light button. It gives a little background light. If it's dark, that helps. When it's light, not so much. But now what we're getting here is we're getting a pressure reading in pascals on both sides of the screen. And you can see here it says PA, which stands for pascals on both sides. And then right here it says pressure/pressure. So that's, again, giving us a pressure reading on this side of the screen and a pressure reading on that side of the screen. Now what we want to do is we want to configure the manometer so that it's reading pressure on this side, but fan flow at 50 pascals on this side. So we can hit mode, and now this changed from pressure/pressure to pressure/flow. And now if we hit mode again, it's going to say pressure here and flow at 50 here. So we're getting a pressure reading on this side of the screen and a flow reading at 50 pascals of pressure on this side. And here you can see again it says pressure still on that side of the screen, and here it's saying CFM, which is cubic feet per minute, at 50. So now we can go ahead and we want to baseline the manometer so that it's giving us a reading, a zeroed out reading from inside to outside, and it's sort of like tearing a scale. So we want to hit baseline, and it's going to flash baseline on this side of the screen, and then you can start the baseline. And now it's going to give us a time average of the pressure difference between inside and outside on this side of the screen. And on this side of the screen, it's going to count seconds. And it's stabilizing, it's still rising a little bit. But once we're happy with this reading on this side of the screen, we can go ahead and hit enter. And now we've baselined the manometer. So we're getting a zeroed out pressure difference between inside and outside to account for the wind. And now we're all set up and we can go ahead and turn the fan on. So we can choose what ring we want to use now and go ahead and open up the fan. Here we can either open up the fan all the way. If it's a bigger, leakier, or a really big drafty house, we can open up the fan all the way. Otherwise, if it's a smaller, tighter house, we're going to want to use either the A ring or the B ring. So in this particular house, or this office that we're in, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the A ring because it's a smaller, tighter space. So, and we can see here that it says A on this ring and B on this ring. So we can take the ring off, and now we can configure the manometer so that it's going to give us a reading for the A ring, and we can turn the fan on. Now that we've chosen to use the A ring, we can go ahead and configure the flow side of the manometer to reading flow for the A ring. It's set to the open status, and that's the default. But if we hit the configure button, then it changes to A1, and so now it's going to read flow through the fan for the A ring. Now that we're all set up with the manometer and we're configured to run the fan at the A ring, Then we can turn the fan on and raise the speed up to read flow at 50 pascals. But before we do, we're just going to want to make sure that we've piloted the boiler and piloted the water heater and closed any fireplace dampers, and we have all doors and windows closed and locked. That's doors to outside, and any interior doors, those should be open. And once we know that we've done all that, we can go ahead and turn the fan on and raise the speed up to give us a reading at 50 pascals. So on this side, we're reading pressure in pascals, and it's raising to, we're at 46, 47, and getting close to 50. And now we're slightly above 50. On this side, we're reading flow in cubic feet per minute. And with this office space here, we can see that we're reading about 1,000 cubic feet per minute at 50 pascals. That's the blower door setup. Thanks for watching. Again, I'm Tom Reuter with Shaping Energies, and feel free to visit us at shapingenergies.com.